skip that one, personally. I'm not really the type, to say the least. Though actually, from what I've heard, the reviews for this movie aren't actually that bad. Kind of? I guess we'll see about that. Also, gotta love how they called it Trolls World Tour to avoid the disastrous other Trolls 2.
Oh my god!
Ah, DreamWorks are celebrating their 25th with a logo style like Marvel and Illumination combined. To be fair, I guess this really does encapsulate modern DreamWorks in a nutshell. Oh, great. Starting off right away with my favorite character.
I'm the type of cloud that goes for this sort of thing.
What a start! So we start off with exploring the freshly expanding wider world of the trolls, taking us to the Techno Trolls. A genuinely super aesthetically pleasing look of some fishy trolls in their Undertale-esque pixel hearts. And sure, I could ramble at you about how it's a diluted version of techno music that also absorbs house and dubstep and all sorts of others that are clearly different genres in its own right, but I think it's fine enough here. It's a kid's movie. Though the head troll is Trollex, as in Skrillex, I think, which of all references seems a little outdated for a movie as mainstream as this one. Anyway, we begin with the hard rock trolls invading with their queen Barb. See, that's a much better name. Completely taking over, using her music to physically destroy the lands, which looks great. Shame the techno trolls don't really put up a fight. And we cut over to our protagonist's life.
Oh, can you shut up? It's 7 a.m. in the morning. Oh.
Hey, wait a minute, I thought Branch had a whole arc last movie of finding his colors. They even said it in the intro. Instead, this time, he's back to before and he's got an arc of confessing to Poppy, our original. Oh, and...
Yeah, Tiny Diamond is my name. Come straight from my daddy's name.
What is this? Maybe it's a seedling of a theme to come about how trolls can reach across music genres, considering this is a rap-esque troll within the pop dimension? No, it's just merchandising. And here's our fan favorite James Corden in another musical. Wow. Bringing us this rabid bat to be cuddled to come. Warning of the hard rock trolls' future arrival. Why would they leave a warning? Oh, is this a recurring thing that'll come back for the finale sequence? No, it happens twice in this scene and never again. Okay. And so we reach our exposition dump, learning about how there are several different types of trolls that each had their own musical taste and musical string, and fought until each split apart. And now one wants to control all the others. So with Poppy only hearing one big party of harmony instead of the conflict of combining all the strings, she heads off to negotiate as Branch comes with his realist pessimism. Also, the horse gets to go on their own adventure. The benefits of being a fan favorite. And actually, I prefer his angle, spotting a troll that looks more like him and going on an identity quest. Also, James Corden is here on the balloon. The benefits of being contracted as
animation.
a frontman. So with the adventure starting, it's time for Baby's first genocide. The land of the classical music trolls has already been burned to the ground, and all that remains is this one sentient recorder, animated on twos and actually
it probably
really
does
stylistic
slow me
because of
down,
it.
but
When Barb crashed in, she wiped them out with her slot pilgrim powers,
struggling
and
to
the
stay
classical
awake, so I need
trolls
someone to
did
talk.
nothing. Is she the only
Someone
one that can
talking.
actually battle with her music? Am I the only one that sees this as a massive missed opportunity? All they've done with it is rip a choral structure in half and given us one classical motif. Give me some special effects head-to-head clash. Anyway, from this, Poppy is invigorated to protect her pop string rather than go
Reply
for
to
her
your first
negotiating
question.
route, and promises so through a pinky
Oh,
promise.
the Danica plan on changing her profile picture soon. Oh, I have no idea. Sorry, I didn't see that one.
Wow, that's actually a cool concept.
Also, do you know if there's a way to make it so that the chat,
No,
like,
not
does
really.
a little thing?
It's just a minor thing. Also, I feel a sense of that thing where people complain that all the Marvel
Where,
characters are diluted into the same quippy attitude with this
It
recorder.
lets me know when someone messages.
That just feels like a really poppy thing to say, you know? Isn't there something more emblematic
Oh,
of her
like
reality to say?
Here, I'll pause it so you can hear me better. Like a little notification when someone messages in chat, because otherwise I'm like, checking, checking a lot of the time, but I don't see anything going on, and then, and then when I'm not checking, someone talks, so I want to find a way to be able to respond when when people do talk.
Anyway,
Someone has to rebuild.
I wonder if this will come back. It doesn't. So, Poppy's messenger
I
glitter
could
bat
probably
finally
check it
makes
out
its return
later,
to
yeah.
Barb, and the optimism comes off as incredibly insulting. And for the cynical people in the audience, the villain comes off as the one with the better points.
Friendship takes time and years of mutual care and respect. You don't just become best friends.
Also, the comments
That
on
voice
pop music
actress, she
itself are
sounds like
pretty-
she's the one from one of the Vikings in
Lyrics are empty.
Actually, yeah, why are the hard rock trolls the villains of this story? When you look at the monopolizing
Train
state of the
Dragon.
real music industry and the travesty that is the pop music genre, what with its inane
Trinket.
samplings and remixing of content that already exists and its psychologically manufactured designs to push for maximum consumption in this overtly corporate merchandising world, really makes no sense that they're actually the protagonists here. Anyway, it's time for the bounty hunters. Why are there bounty hunters? Because we haven't represented every type of music genre yet. You know the ones. Yodeling, reggae, K-pop. I'm genuinely surprised that's in this movie. And jazz! Why are these guys just lone wolves and don't get a kingdom of their own? I mean, come on, jazz isn't big enough to be its own kingdom? Also, I get that it's a characterization to have your jazz representative as a 70s-esque, going to steal your goal sexy guy, but considering it's just one guy, I feel like it's a bit of a misrepresentation when you consider the real-world origins of where exactly jazz comes from. But hey, I'm not gonna read into it that far anymore. At least we've got funk. Is that a spoiler? I guess it's a who cares?
Dude, where are the yodelers?
You're not missing much. By the way, as you're halfway, if you're not already, subscribe. I can see if you're not. Or hit the bell. I can see that too. Or here's a new prompt. Want to see an element of some behind the scenes this video? We've actually made this video partially live on our Twitch. Here's a clip. And then take all of this.
these lines won't.
Is that a human? Will be the very first thing we see, like a preview. Plug that in, first minute, made for kids, not gonna happen. Maybe we'll do it again sometime. Yeah, it's up to you, really. Anyway, those are my plugs. Here's some others. Back to the video. The pop trolls have made it to the country kingdom now, singing a sad song, as some people do. But the pop trolls just
See,
don't
this
understand
almost
and
connects.
respond how James Corden probably would in real life, badly.
Yo, I'll tell you what I want, what I really, really want.
You know, the cringiness of this response is really elevated by the fact that the Trolls franchise never makes an original song. It's literally all just covers of mainstream music, like a cheat code to getting a good response out of audiences. Just found out that's called a jukebox musical. We don't like jukebox musicals. So anyway, they're put in jail where they belong, and then they're immediately hoiked out by this guy.
Branch, this is Hickory. Hickory, this is Branch.
Enough with the formalities. Let's go.
This is a 90-minute movie, and it shows. Like Raya and the Last Dragon, we go way too fast to all these different worlds. But that's just modern kids' movies anyway. Still, as we leave, I still enjoy the Paper Mario-esque design of the Western world here, and they make some really great visual choices, like this lasso star here. Then they make some other choices later on.
Happy birthday.
Why? I saw this moment in the trailer, and I gotta say, controversial opinion here, I would go out on a limb, at a stretch, and say, in the right context, if I was 5, maybe I would actually find this funny. But this isn't the right context. What is the context? I thought we were beyond lol random humor. I thought that died a decade ago. God, why am I watching this? I'm 25. Let's move on. Is that a human? That's amazing! This is an example of a really good joke that I really enjoy. I wish I could come up with a green screen joke for it. Actually, screw it, I can. This video isn't made for kids, YouTube. So here's something.
Poppy, how'd you like the sushi?
This makes me uncomfortable. This is our first bounty hunter, the smooth jazz guy. He's defeated. He can do all this flying around, but the moment he touches water or his saxophone... The movie's gotta move on, damn it. We're skimming through here. Move. Remember that old pinky promise?
As your queen, I promise that I will protect you no matter what.
It's not for the finale, and there's never another one. It's so James Corden can leave here. Because it was broken, apparently. Because someone out of Poppy's control popped up. Kind of weak. Kind of annoying. Kind of whiny. James Corden. Why does he projectile off of the worm? Lol random. That's why. Lol random.
Oh, that's interesting. I didn't know
I'll tell
that.
you,
Chatty.
that
Okay, I'll have to see.
That doesn't
I'm
sound
not
like
sure
he
how to
says,
install
with
that,
him
but
gone, we come to meet our
that's
next
interesting.
type of troll, the Funk Trolls, apparently owning an alien ship. Where's their kingdom? And
Thanks for
also
looking.
slurping birthday butt boy. Also, there is family. What follows next is a surprisingly adult comment. We've had baby's first genocide, and now it's baby's first history retelling.
BT.
Yay! Turns out the trolls
BT.
didn't all divide. Pop trolls
Me.
tried to conquer, and the others
Open that
skedaddled
in a
from
different.
them. Oof. And then the hard rock trolls
Tab
roll in again. Is there
BTTV.
finally room for an actual conflict? Now we have the most technologically advanced
Extension,
troll
maybe?
species? Actually, yes!
This says
But
better.
we get pulled
BT.
away, so no. But now things come to a head. Branch and Poppy finally split as Poppy continues to
It says. I don't know. Is it allowed on Twitch? Install and visit Twitch to begin using the add-on. Huh. Interesting. Chatty and bean. Yeah, adding these, Oh, hello! Thanks. John just followed and it did a notification in the Streamlabs thingy. Yeah, that's what that was. Thanks. I don't actually have a schedule now, so it's kind of just whenever I get to the computer to work. But yeah, thanks for joining. Dance is very helpful in helping motivate me to keep working on stuff, so. Whoops. Don't. There we go.
naively push forward with their own narrative as opposed to listening to what everyone else has said on
This is so
their adventure and how
broken right
differences
here.
do
Look at
matter and they part ways. Well, except the next scene has them singing a love song with an imaginary version
You're not
of the other
working
one.
either?
But after that, we have then more bounty hunters as well.
Well, that's
Two at
cool.
once this
And
time
you
because
can
we gotta
relax
speed
now.
through this runtime.
Oh,
okay.
yeah, that's
K-pop
true.
versus
Oh, you know what? I think my sister got sick from last time because she was feeling so gross. She thought she had COVID, so we'll see what the results come back as. But the staff is so short-handed, she's gonna have to help them. She had to go into work anyway, so we'll see. But just take it easy, I say, which is good. So, and then what do you do for pain stuff, like, cause I'm always afraid of overdoing ibuprofen. See, look what happens when I connect this. It just gets rid of the extra details. It's so, let's see, what is this one? Okay. Yes, junk food is good. Yeah, painkillers. Let me see. They're like every 4-ish hours, right? Something like that. Oh my gosh, I just finished eating some Cheetos too. That's pretty funny. you'll probably end up eating the whole bag before you're like, I'm done. My sister and me just ate like half a bag of Cheetos, which is not good.
Reggae.
If you ever want to try some better than normal Cheetos, just do the, what is it, the Walmart ones? But I have no idea how their hot Cheetos are though. They're probably pretty good too, but they have more cheese on them than normal Cheetos, which is very strange. So we've been buying those recently and eating them in like one or 2 days. They're so addicting, huh? I don't know how you're supposed to stop with them, because they're like, eat 20 curls, but like some of the sizes are microscopic, so how can you count that as a full Cheeto, you know? So I don't know. Okay, I don't know what to do here. This is being very annoying. See the way the lines don't connect? Reason why I want them to connect is because I'm thickening the outline like this guy. See? But when I do that here, it looks stupid like this. So, whatever. Well, that looks wonderful. Also, sorry, John, I'm not the most exciting, but I appreciate you, what do you call it? Following anyway, yes.
Not with the big energy weapons, just dancing for 10 seconds with Branch, who magically knows the choreography. Is this symbolic of a troll that can enjoy any type of music? No! It's just padding. Or skimming? It's just there. As for Poppy, she reunites with Hickory, who, surprise, surprise...
Nein! What are you doing, Hickory? Show her who you really are. Hickory!
You're the yodelers?
How does Poppy already know the yodelers are bounty hunters exactly? Either way, Barb also shows up and immediately gets the pop string. When did Hickory let go? And it's all coming together. But first, James Corden. Remember him? I thought we were gone. Okay. He's returned to Pop Village, and it's baby's second genocide. Woo! Though every main Pop character seems to have survived. Funny that. James Corden suddenly realizes he shouldn't have been a coward, and they go to set things straight with the power of fashion. And now we reach the final area, the lava lands that are the Hard Rock Trolls Kingdom. That fashion thing is just resolved immediately. They dressed up as kind of rockers. Don't know how much time passed for them to walk here, but and as Poppy is caged, Barb gets her fully stringed guitar. The concert begins with lava deaths, heads of states on pedestals. The Pop Trolls are there, and then Branch comes to save the day. Well, never mind. With her newfound powers, Barb zaps each leader of the kingdom, one after another, until...
What are you?
Gumdrops. Soundproof and delicious.
Wait, what? So because she couldn't hear the power cord, her body would transform, but she wouldn't. Her eyes would glow red, but that means nothing? She would be able to perfectly play the electric guitar for this entire sequence, but she's still herself? This seems way too far out to give us this fake out. I mean, come on. And then she just...
Voices.
Smash. Now, this sequence, unlike the last one, I actually really like. Though, I guess it is also formulaic. Hey look, it's another desaturated sadness scene, just like the first movie. But I like how it was a throwback to the silent era that we heard about in the exposition. Until everyone comes to the conclusion that the music was inside them all along. Wow. This might have been a cool opportunity to lean on that almost theme of genres overlapping, like how Birthday Butt Boy is both funk and pop, Baby Diamond likes rock and pop, Branch seems to get along with everything, though I could also see it being a cool idea if they explored how he's unfitting as a pop troll but great as a depressing country troll, or how children in general in this movie seem to briefly be open to other people's musics before they're whisked away by their parents. But really, it just turns into a cacophony of all music genres in one big sing-song. Although, is it really? Because to me, as they sing, it seems overwhelmingly pop to me. Sure, there are some funk horns sometimes. The yodelers get one note. And Country Horse Girl does say the words. But it just sounds like a pop song with some accompaniment. Barb barely gets to even use her electric guitar. For a medley, it sure isn't much of a celebration of other sounds, you know? Like, it really misses the mark here, I hear. In fact, smooth jazz wasn't there at all. He's permanently antagonized. But other than that, everyone's happy. Branch confesses to Poppy, and that's the end of the romantic arc. To be fair, I didn't want to see them kiss. And the king praises Poppy for having the bravery to think she can change the world. Even the Rock King is content, who, by the way, is Ozzy Osbourne. Because, of course it is. Also in the end credits, everyone's incorporated, and James Corden's worm dies. Why? Because it lol random almost died last time and liked it. And here's that wrapped up. I hope James Corden mourns. A happy ending for all. Apart from the Burgons, who just don't exist in the reality of kingdoms, apparently. Semi-retcon from before, like Branch's colors. Clearly, this movie was going for a metaphor, what with everyone being different and celebrating that. But it gets awfully lost in translation. Harmony isn't being the same, but boy did that ending sound like one poply heap. The villains are the angry, rebellious ones, rather than the legitimately hollow state of pop music with their samplings and empty lyrics. So many characters were introduced, but so few were given any time in order to squeeze past everything in 90 minutes. And there were so many just blippy pieces that kind of stitch together like a scrapbook, but at the end of the day, it's a very unimpactful movie, but not as cringy as it could have been. The DreamWorks visuals and creativity are still top-notch, but boy do I just wish this wasn't a jukebox musical. But hey, money. You can expect a Trolls 3 in the future. In fact, Justin Timberlake mentioned in 2020 something about 7 movies, so this isn't the end anytime soon. I just wonder if the franchise will run out of mainstream music to cover. Please, just something original next time. My god. This movie wasn't god-awful, but I'll still have a lot of pet peeves with it. And then I'll watch the third one immediately. I'm invested now, so, you know, send help. For now, my name's been Daz. You didn't really care. That was the Terrible Trolls World Tour, and I'll see you in a bit. I'm old. Yes, a new animation studio has risen from the ashes of studios past. Ron's Gone Wrong released today, at least if you're in the US. I saw it a week ago, so this will be the most on-trend video I make in a while. Still, with that extra time, I've decided to do a little bit of extra research on this unearthed corner of the animation industry. After all, we're almost a year on from the collapse of a studio we've at least been aware of through the years, Blue Sky Studios. Is this newcomer the leftover lingerers of that team, or a fresh face? Who are they run by? Or who are they inspired by? Does the lure of basic baby bait for tons of profit drag these newbies down? Or is it secretly the next Pixar, bursting with cinematic potential to be some of the best of the best? Come join me as we unearth the tale that is the newcomer animation studio, Locksmith Animation. And of course, we'll be talking about Ron 2. I'll keep things spoiler-free for you though. So when I first laid eyes on the trailer for Ron's Gone Wrong, I'll admit to you now,
I I don't want you addicted to some device. Yeah, though.
Man. I really wasn't impressed. This can easily fall into your classic boomer humor bait of technology bad and kids stupid. And even if it wasn't, God, haven't we seen this concept before? This looks like the next generation's version of that same scene from the Mitchells vs. the Machines. In fact, there's a lot of Mitchells vs. Machines connections in this movie. There's a tech company pulling the stops on this new technology, a generational divide on the impact technology has on the younger generation, and it's all about a rogue AI massively influencing the technology that requires a kind of heist into the main headquarters that's one big architecturally uncommon shape. And more so than just Mitchells vs. the Machines, you can see inspirations from all sorts of sources. I feel like it could do more. It feels like a baby Baymax. As well as, to a smaller scale, the reminiscent designs to Eve from WALL-E. And as for the humor...
Hands where I can see them.
I don't know about you, but I can sense a good chunk of illumination in that. So let's have a look at who's working within this new studio and the hints of their history to what kind of quality we can expect from them. Locksmith Animation was actually founded in 2014 by two women, Julie Lockhart and Sarah Smith, claiming to be the only high-end computer animation studio in the UK making computer-animated family films. Over here we have studios like Aardman Animation over in Bristol, but Locksmith is London-based. And fun fact, this foundation was also created with the financial backing from Elizabeth Murdoch, a media executive and daughter of Rupert Murdoch, responsible for 21st Century Fox back in those days, as well as the majority of your news outlets. Yay. Anyway, with these two as the highest ups, for Ron's Gone Wrong, they take on the roles of producer for both, as well as writer and director for Sarah Smith, along with their team. Judy Lockhart, previously producing with Aardman Animations on Shaun the Sheep the movie, as well as The Pirates in an Adventure with Scientists and Creature Comforts. This was like an insanely nostalgic TV show in Britain. It synced up people talking about their homes with animated animals talking about their living conditions. Wow, what a throwback. And as for Sarah Smith, she was similarly involved with Aardman through Arthur Christmas, in which she also directed, wrote and produced, as well as working on all sorts of TV series in all three roles. So alright, our two leaders are actually excerpts of Aardman rather than Blue Skies. Makes sense considering they started in 2014, but of course there are all sorts of other crew members to keep in mind. But let's talk about Ron again for a mo. While upon first viewing I was quite the cynic, my mood soon changed upon realizing that this was in fact a newcomer's burgeoning attempt to join the market. And I don't want to be the guy who punches down on the new guy. Instead, I felt it would be best to compare this movie not to the likes of WALL-E or the actual successes of like Despicable Me, but to the first movies that were actually made by each animation studio. I mean, there's some real hit or misses in that selection. Look at this. Sure, you probably all know that Pixar's first movie was Toy Story, talk about hitting it out of the park. But then there's DreamWorks' Ants, just hopping on Pixar's coattails. Sony started with Open Season. Warner Brothers Animation's first 3D film was the Lego Movie. Does that really count? And then followed it up with Storks. Bloody Storks! Aardman Animation began with Chicken Run, terrified me as a kid. Blue Skies released Ice Age and never lived it down. Image Movers started with The Polar Express, and then Monster House, and then there's the Weinstein Company that opened with Hoodwinked, which I really enjoyed, and Dougal. So really, considering this is a first start, there's all sorts of range of quality as the competition, so I don't want to be all too hard on it. So with all that in mind, how does Ron fare against it all? Actually, it's pretty darn good. I wouldn't say it's a masterpiece a la Toy Story or the Lego Movie. I mean, for the most part, it plays things pretty damn safe. To the point I predicted most of it on the bus ride to the cinema. But even still, something that certainly doesn't go amiss is the fact that it has a lot of heart. It may have many similarities with the whole techno-prompt cliche it's playing with, but I liked the different direction it took with that prompt, opting for a more wholesome vibe about building friendship up. One of the bigger highlights for me has to just be the soundtrack of the movie hitting on that kind of emotive Pixar tone in some scenes. Who was the composer, you ask? Oh, only the legendary Henry Jackman, responsible for a seemingly unending list of iconic films. Kingsman, Detective Pikachu, Big Hero 6, there's that connection again, Wreck-It Ralph, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and Rise of the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles the movie? Is that real? Anyway, an absolute powerhouse handling the audio side of things certainly doesn't give this movie an unsteady footing for its first entry. And of course, these more emotive scenes couldn't survive on just music alone. We mentioned earlier that Sarah Smith was co-director, as the other one in that chair goes to one Jean-Philippe Vine, also connected partially to Aardman as the director of Shaun the Sheep TV series and assistant animator on The Curse of the Were-Rabbit, this guy is also notably a Pixar story artist, handling work on Inside Out, The Good Dinosaur, and Cars 3. A Pixar member in the directing chair? That's certainly worth turning some heads. And what I found surprising as I watched the film is how much stuff actually got called back to. Maybe I've just been watching too many terrible films lately, but without spoiling too much, there's all sorts of small elements that crop up early on that do in fact get some sort of payoff, which I really appreciated. The family of Barney was a bit weird to me for a while, seeming like some Illumination-esque craze fest, and I got a similar vibe on the character designs for some characters like the teacher and the villain. They literally could be in Despicable Me and I wouldn't notice. But the family especially started to grow on me with the exploration of being a widowed father. And helping to write alongside Sarah Smith was Peter Bainham. A bit of an oddball when it comes to his history, he also is credited as a writer for Arthur Christmas, classically Aardman and Sony. Then he's also written the original Hotel Transylvania, and after that, Borat's subsequent movie film. I guess kooky and energetic is just his thing. That being said, I think there could have been more potential with the dad character, especially towards the end, but at the very least, this wasn't just your boomer humor of a movie. Though there were some Illumination-level kids jokes. Farts are a thing in this movie, to the point that it becomes a recurring gag at the same fart moment, but it doesn't linger on too long. And there's a good bit of political satire with the villain being a global tech giant exec. Certainly some lines to go over the kids' heads. And if you're enjoying this content so far, let me know by subscribing. I can see the numbers, and I can see if you've hit the bell as well, so do it. This is kind of my version of new movie reviews, so let me know your thoughts on it in the comments. Or what do you think of the studio so far? Don't worry, there's still more video to go, but if you want to see more things from me, here are all my links. These ones are my particular favorites. Or if you're going to London Comic Con this weekend, I'll be there too. Wave me down if you see me in the crowd. Back to Ron. As for the visuals, if you haven't seen yourself, yeah, it's pretty nice. I, for some reason, find the ears, like, really satisfying. I don't know why, especially with the lighting and the subsurface scattering, but in general, the movie looks nice. And there were some good bits of cinematography. I saw a dolly zoom, some good silhouetting and compositions and all that. Highlighted more on the emotional moments, of course. In the cinematography department, we have David Pears and Haley White coming with a more diverse history in their past. David, for example, was the director of Happy Feet 2 and camera director for the original, as well as director and cinematographer for a documentary short, Rainforest Beneath the Canopy, and he has a history in visual effects with Gods of Egypt, Mad Max Fury Road, the previs anyway, as supervisor, and Inspector Gadget 2. Oh, he just designed the opening title. Interesting. Haley White, on the other hand, works as a layout artist or lead, starting with Happy Feet 2 and then all the Lego movies rising the ranks. And she also dabbled in visual effects for all sorts of movies. Is that a thing? Cinematographers and visual effects? For her, there's Thor Ragnarok previs lead, Alice Through the Looking Glass, X-Men Apocalypse, and Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Whew, that's quite the range. I will admit though, there's a specific part where I perked up watching this movie, and that was after all that standard introductions, Ron just full on starts assaulting a bully. Then it got interesting. They sort of explore the robotic laws of never causing harm to other humans, but I don't know if they actually fully address it by the end of the film. Ah well, I found it very enjoyable from that point on. This film was much better than I expected it to be. Is it riddled with all sorts of cliches? Oh yeah, the awkward protagonist is awfully overdone, but I liked that even their friends addressed them as like, not friends. It's like a weird common ground relationship, which I certainly have experienced in my life, and it's a bit more of a realistic one to see on screen. Plus, the messaging was interesting, showcasing that despite all sorts of interactions with technology and how it looks from the outside, it can still be a lonely experience on the other side. I enjoyed seeing the global tech company vision split into the creative and the corporate, and having your main character have asthma was a cool bit of representation and drama, as you can probably expect. This film isn't some masterpiece, but it's not completely mediocre either. It finds a nice, joy-inducing middle ground of just being a damn nice start for this new animation company. Is anyone from the crew actually from Blue Sky Studios? Well, last one to really mention is producer Lara Bray, who previously worked on Penguins of Madagascar and Megamind. So, no. While this studio isn't exactly a response to Blue Sky Studios, as some might think, the sources of knowledge from the crew we have seen spread far and wide. I mean, you've heard it already. We've got people from the likes of Aardman, Sony, Pixar, Animal Logic, Warner Bros., Marvel, DreamWorks, and not an Illumination project in sight. What a perfect concoction, right? Whilst this may be a safe play for their first introduction, with this kind of resume, the potential for Locksmith Studios could really be to become something absolutely great. Except that isn't the end of our story. See, during the early days of the company, there were all sorts of distribution deals going on. In April of 2014, one was agreed where visual effects and animation studio Double Negative would provide animation for their films. These guys do a lot of live-action visual effects for things like Marvel and Tenet and Alita Battle Angel, but it never came to be. In May 2016, a deal was made with Paramount Pictures acting as distributor so that films would be under the Paramount Animation label, but 1 year later the CEO was replaced and the deal was discarded. Then in September 2017, they formed the multi-year production deal with 20th Century Fox, distributing now under the 20th Century Fox Animation label, with the aim to release a film every 12 to 18 months. This is where Ron's Gone Wrong had been arranged, and so it does come under that label. However, it continues. In October of 2019, Disney swallowed 20th Century Animation, and so a whole new multi-year production deal was made with Warner Brothers now, who will distribute future films under the Warner Animation Group label. Since Ron's Gone Wrong was already locked in, fun fact, this will be the only film distributed under the 20th Century label. But while something as small as distributor label shouldn't really impact the future of a film's quality, this next bit just might. In June of 2021, it was announced that the co-writer, co-producer, co-director of Ron's Gone Wrong and co-founder of Locksmith Animation, the Smith of Locksmith, Sarah Smith, decided to leave the company in order to pursue her own creative endeavors. And to fill the gap she left behind, the former COO of Illumination Entertainment, Natalie Fisher. She joined Illumination back in 2012, right before, well, everything that makes Illumination, Illumination. So to have her as the new highest up doesn't fill me with a lot of confidence, and Sarah leaving for creative endeavors? Is not having your own animation studio enough? Or perhaps it's reflective of the business decisions going forwards, not allowing for the free-flowing creativity Sarah was looking for. Who knows? I certainly can't tell you inner discussions, but I will leave you off with this: the currently in production movies over at Locksmith right now. This is the future to expect. First, we've got That Christmas, based on Richard Curtis's children's book series. Then we've got Wed Wabbit, another book adaptation on Lisa Evans's children's book. And then an original musical comedy film. There's definitely room for good and bad here. The books are pretty new, publishing in 2020 and 2017, but they're not original, and the musical comedy can really go either way. It'd be grand not to have some other jukebox musical kids films are cluttered with right now, but there's always a chance James Corden will appear in it again, and it's all downhill from there. Either way, I'll be keeping a close eye on everything Locksmith does. It's exciting to have something start while I'm paying attention, rather than having all this Sony and DreamWorks stuff go over my head when I was dawdling through life in 2017. If we truly had to rank Ron's Gone Wrong against debut movies, I'd say it was better than Monster House and Polar Express, but not quite as good as Chicken Run. Something like this makes sense to me. Tell me your rankings too. For now, my name's been Daz. You didn't really care, and I'll see you in a bit. This isn't a Christmas movie, but in a sense, it's kind of got that Christmas spirit. Around this time of year, everyone just sort of comes together for a little bit of a song and dance, and somehow, despite the track record of Illumination Entertainment being so low in regards to quality film writing, I haven't really covered the guys very much all year, so let's change that now. And while I had originally intended to do a terrible video on Sing, turns out a lot of people actually really like it. And to go one step further, of course this film has sparked a whole new franchise as well. As yes, Illumination Sing is getting a sequel. Are you ecstatic or rolling your eyes for a revelation you've seen unfold like 100 times by this point? Well, for me, I hadn't actually seen Sing up to this point. I mean, I saw the trailer, and that kind of covered everything, didn't it? Still, I'm not one for bunnies shaking their butts or the obvious boomer bait of a silly pig singer, but this is my job now. So today, we're going to be going through the meat of this film, sprinkling the news of what's upcoming, and see how things could expand with this established universe. Alright? Come join me as we slug through another one of Illumination's masterpieces. And they'll definitely let you know it's them with a 22-second sequence of their logo alone. Oof. And right off the bat, I can see the appeal on the very first location, just from the fact that this is an entire city populated by animals. That is undeniably pretty cool. It's a bit of a trend that others have done at the time, sure, but it's a twang of difference. Can't wait to see all the puns and visual gags they make out of that. I mean, it's just a great prompt for creativity. Anyway, this prologue shows the theatre in its heyday, and when our mainish protagonist fell in love with the theatre, Buster Moon the koala. He went on to buy the theatre and become a failing showman, with his stage crew currently angry at him since they've just had their paycheck bounced. He's broke. Also, his assistant's name is apparently Miss Crawley. If that's the case, shouldn't she be like a spider? First name Creepy? Creepy Crawley? Maybe I've been playing too much Phoenix Wright lately. Anyway, Buster Moon escapes the place running above the entire set and cycling through town. It's here we get introduced to all of our other protagonists. And this sequence actually starts off pretty great. Buster cycles past this one alleyway and the camera lingers onto it as we're introduced to our first contestant, the gorilla, Johnny. And what's he doing at this time of day? It's actually quite dynamic. He's part of a criminal heist with his dad being the lookout, though his heart's clearly in the song in his head. The mission's a bit scuffed, but they race away anyway, and that is an awesome establishment, and such an interesting arc for an otherwise wholesome musical competition story. The rest doesn't hit me as good. It hits different, badly. I loved the transition of two characters physically being within the vicinity of each other. That kind of stuff's just my jam ever since Hoodwinked. But the rest of this wander across town is just the camera going on a ride to its destination. There's no real reasoning to, other than that that's where the characters are. And to me, that's a shame. Especially because, like, Johnny could have easily just driven past this next house so easily. Anyway, your other characters are pretty standard tropes. Johnny is too, but he's the most interesting. You've got the pig mother with a million kids singing Katy Perry's Fireworks about wanting to start again. Kinda sounds like she hates her kids, but you get it there. It's a hectic house and not a very supportive husband. Then we zoom to a club gig with the duo Porcupine Band, where the guy complains of the girl not staying as the backup vocals. And then there's this random house with one elephant being really good at singing Happy Birthday. Isn't this, like, regarded as being really douchey? Maybe not to your family. Still, in this case, the family are aggressively supportive, but the elephant herself is too shy. Then we get this mouse busking on a stairway who's got a chunk more personality, though it's still pretty simple, because he's the gangster type. Mean, willing to scrap to get what he wants. And then we sit right back to Buster Moon. Overall, from just the characters, I see why people like it. But it's not amazing, you know? Everyone's just kind of an archetype, and their animal traits aren't really relevant. The elephant is ironically not loud, and the mouse is. Also, I guess they're kind of like a Frank Sinatra Rat Pack pun, maybe? Pigs have a fair litter size of like 7 to 14, but wouldn't a rabbit work way better for the mum? Anyway, even in the next scene as Buster is asking for more money, there's no visual jokes in the background. Everyone's eating cake or soup. There's no connection to which species are meeting, and maybe I've been spoiled by the likes of Zootropolis or BoJack Horseman, but what's the point of having them be animals if they're not gonna play with it more?
A singing competition? Who wants to see another one of those?
Yeah, that was my first impression too. So Buster sets up marketing his new show idea, setting out a $1,000 prize money competition. Some hijinks happen to crank that number up, and all the posters go flying out the window. Who needs any other kind of marketing when wind will apparently do everything else? And it literally does. Sure, I'll believe it for a film like this. All our guys witness a poster very conveniently, or maybe this movie's just highlighting the few people who did see it, and every other potential winner just never did. That's my headcanon anyway.
I made you some coffee. Oh, I got a little thirsty on the way up those stairs.
Huh, I guess that's why they skipped on the jokes. They can't make any good ones. So of course, everyone's lining up for their chance, and Buster still hasn't seen the $100,000 error. What follows next is Illumination flaunting their budget with 100 licensed songs back to back to back to back. It's your Britain's Got Talent montage of acts. Some good, some bad, some you'll recognize, and still none really using their potential. Sure, the shrimp are synchronized swimmers and the kangaroo has a roo in their pouch who sings, but beyond that, it's really scarce. It's just a bunch of trailer bait. Though, at least I can appreciate it shows a lot for the trailer without really revealing the story. If only they kept that up with the trailers. Anyway, through this montage, Mina gets her moment and messes it up. I don't know if this is a cliche subversion because I don't watch many musicals, but I like the turn on this. It's a little more substance. And with the day done, Buster picks his favorites. That's totally not everyone from the entire day. He picks just the girl in the porcupine band. Nice, love the drama. Then for the soloist, this Buffalo Richard then goes on to randomly fart all over the scene.
Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry. Oh, what is wrong with me?
Then he steps on Ray the snail with a poorly integrated Wilhelm scream, and then he runs away farting.
Gotcha. Oh, whoopsie. Oh.
I was kind of getting into this simple plot, but Illumination always just has to go down to this level, doesn't it? You gotta work on that checklist. Wilhelm, farts galore. Then Buster goes on to hire Daniel the giraffe, but gets angered for the hearing issues from being way up there, the rare time they actually use a joke on the animal part, but that's what leads him to eventually hiring Johnny. Of all the routes to take, this is just terrible writing, and because they tackled the joke here of all places, it kind of comes off as discrimination or ableism. Like, how do you mess this up? And the other beat has the pig mum Rosita partnered with Gunter, the boomer bait, and only now do they discover the $100,000.
Please, blow that nose of yours. No, not in here. Blow it outside.
Is this supposed to be a funny joke? Anyway, now we've reached the meat of the story, so here's some info on the sequel. For a start, Illumination was so eager to milk this thing for money that though this film came out in December of 2016, the announcement of the sequel came in January 2017, just 1 month later. And since we're still talking about it now, you can imagine it's been delayed a bunch, for all sorts of reasonings. Currently, it's established to now release on December 22nd, 2021, in just about a year's time, so brace yourselves. Back to the original, and Buster isn't fazed by the impossible odds, saying at rock bottom you can only go up, so he'll see them all tomorrow for rehearsal. Logic. That night, Mina's mourning her loss. Ash the porcupine is trying to convince Lance, the boyfriend, that she should continue to gain the money for the both of them. Mike is struggling to get into a nightclub to chase some girl. Johnny is hired as the new getaway driver for the big hit. And Rosita is struggling to find a babysitter, so instead, she scraps together a massive Rube Goldberg machine. I actually really like the creativity of all this. Sure, it doesn't really make much sense that the mum can randomly DIY all this, but it's still super fun to see unfold perfectly. And it's rehearsal time, and everyone's got an uncomfortable twist. Rosita with Gunther, Johnny with a piano now, and Ash given pop and not rock. Everyone's a little unhappy, and they've lost their electricity too. And as Buster goes on a whole mission to steal some power for themselves, Mina then reappears to request a redo, getting a job as a stagehand instead. And she loves the atmosphere. Mike, however, does not. To him, it's all awful and the prize is as good as his. Also, he takes out a massive loan to impress and get into that nightclub. Ash is thinking about writing her own songs but is discouraged by Lance. Mina is greeted by everyone on the street, though they're unaware that she's not in the show. And Johnny is practicing his getaway driver skills, grumbling in frustration, which leads him to go faster and almost hits his dad. Wow, that is the kind of sequence that I love the tension of. Dude's arc is like so much more investing than everybody else's, I swear. Though, at the same time, it is still pretty generic. It's a weird one. Rosita witnesses the success of her machine, and Buster reminisces on the theater's opening. Oh, I love that match cut. Any spice of creativity. Reminisces on the theater's opening. Oh, I love that match cut. Any spice of creativity is all I ask for. Anyway, another beat of concern, Judith from the bank has visited, saying he needs to settle his account or they will repossess the property. No shows have ever worked before, and they have no faith in him. So as an alternative money source, Buster finds solace in connecting to Nana, the celebrity who he watched in that prologue, though she is supposedly brutal. I don't have an animal costume for you this time, but even still, you should consider subscribing. Only you can help balance out my ratio. And on top of that, we're streaming today. We are just chatting if you want to have a conversation. And tomorrow, we're doing a nostalgia stream. I'm going to be playing a bunch of games from my childhood when I was 13. Call of Duty, Battlefield. It's not really my usual type of content, so I figured I'd just have a blast from the past. So that's what we're doing over there. Come check it out. Otherwise, let's get back into this terrible world of Illumination animations. Yeah. Rehearsals again, and I swear Mike's like the only one who actually plays with his size, dancing with the mic flirtatiously. Anyway, some hijinks happen with Buster randomly having Crawley's glass eye in his drink, spinning it out to almost crush Mike, knocking out this side character Pete the Camel, and destroying part of the stage. Also, I thought Mike was being witty here, calling Mina Dumbo,
You almost killed me, Jumbo!
It wasn't me.
Oh, is that so?
but it turns out he's saying Jumbo instead. Shame. Almost witty. So Pete's out of the race, as are these frogs I didn't really establish because they're arguing and breaking up. You knew they weren't getting in anyway, you know, they barely had names. So Mina is hired anyway, without even hearing her singing voice yet. Okay. Rosita has a whole feet routine plan that gets devastated, that hurts me more than it should. Ash continues to hate her pop style, Johnny is struggling at the piano, and now his dad's calling in the middle of it. So he leaves early. And that night, bit of an abrupt jump to immediately later, considering Johnny was supposed to leave early and not like at the whatever. Ash breaks up with Lance after he's paired with another female porcupine. Mike scams some bears out of their money at poker and gets caught for it, escaping by car, and hey, they actually use a rhino horn to pop a balloon. It's something. And hey, they actually use a rhino horn to pop a balloon. It's something. I swear I'm starving for some actual flair, you know? The next day, Buster is calling Eddie the business friend, only to reveal they're actually in the same place. It's been done before, but I somewhat appreciate it, and they both go to Nana's place, where she accepts an invitation to see the performance for herself in a dress run, to see the good old days of the old theatre.
But anything's better than spending another evening playing checkers with this old fart.
What?
Huh? He's not old, though. What are these jokes? But hey, it's another match cut. Is that like his motifing? Alright. Dress rehearsal time, but Johnny's got that heist happening now. Oh, I love the drama on him. Grumpy that he's there, he's told he has to wait exactly 37 minutes for their re-arrival. That's enough time to disappear, right? So practice is ongoing, Ash is crying over her style, flinging pines randomly everywhere. Johnny arrives but can't squeeze in early. Rosita performs but falls flat on her face because dancing's too hard for her middle-aged body, I guess. She just can't get her head into it. And the joke that follows is one that I actually think is genuinely good.
You okay? Oh, yes, I'm fine, thank you. How are you?
So it is Johnny's turn early, I guess. He rushes through his song. Rosita is unconfident on her place even being here. Mike is suddenly very nervous about the bears after him, and then immediately switches to just insulting Rosita and how she fell over, and then he's just all confident again. Okay, well, what a switch. And Johnny vanishes quickly after failing. He's got to use his backup song instead. He zooms to the getaway alley, but it's stuck in traffic. A buffalo has hit a lion. Why couldn't it have been like a deer because of the headlights, or a sloth being slow? Or a peacock spreading its feathers in threatening anger, you know? It's so simple to do something like this. I feel like they've already got a deer model, don't they? And the gorillas are caught by the police. Time to speak to them immediately in prison. Also, like, what's the backstory for each species talking to the other species here? It's not established, and not even a joke either. There's no hedgehog talking to a fox for a sneaky little reference, or a koala and a kangaroo from the same lands. Not even something like a giant bear and a tiny bird. It's just all random and lazy because of that fact. Anyway, you know how this scene will go. Dad's angry, he learns at the singing contest and is not impressed. It's already super cliche at this point, but the blaseness of the trailer really hampers down the effect of it. I guess the trailers were built for parents to watch to judge for their children? It's still stupid, and feeling guilty, he asks for extra piano lessons. Probably a good idea. And here's another sliver of Sing 2 news. There's honestly very little to go on at this point, which I guess is a nice change, all things considered. Anyway, it's about the cast. This film already has an outstanding cast. I mean, Nana is literally played by Jennifer Saunders, so I'm not surprised at all that she's seen as some kind of queen of the show. But then they've also crammed in Scarlett Johansson, Taron Egerton, Seth MacFarlane, Reese Witherspoon, Matthew McConaughey, John C. Reilly, Nick Offerman. I mean, I guess it's the standard for animated movies to shove all of these together, but there are two new confirmations to add to the cast list for Sing 2, and that is Adam Buxton, who oddly enough was already in the first movie as Stan, one of the gorillas in the gang, and then there's also Chelsea Peretti. You know her face, she's from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, and she's been in a few animated things already. No word on their roles just yet, but it's something. Also though, we know Buster, Ash, Rosita, Johnny, Mike, Gunter, Mina, Miss Crawley, and Piglet will be returning too. Supposedly. That's pretty standard though, isn't it? Anyway, with that minute detail out of the way, next up there's this admittedly not bad sequence of Rosita in the supermarket getting into the flow of the music and finally letting her body move without thinking for the first time. It's cute, and I like how the staff guy contributes. Meanwhile, Buster and Mina are working on the next cheat, redesigning the entire stage. Taking window panes, sourcing the water tower, hiring squids. I like the creativity, and it's a callback too. Mwah! And today's the day for the dress rehearsal. Rosita's machine is broken this time, Johnny's getting better at piano, Miss Crawley randomly falls over for the funnies. Ash is practicing her original song, Buster Loves, that's very lucky. And Buster convinces Mina to have the bravery to perform, though she's literally never sung in front of any of them before. And now it's on the super high stakes of impressing Nana? I don't buy it. Anyway, it's time to perform, though the bears spot Mike and threaten him, only for Mike to say that Moon has their money, $100,000. Buster, meanwhile, is revealing the new stage, powered by luminescent squids. That's quite the illumination, ain't it? Though surely the squids would have needed so much, rehearsal time for all this. Still, it's a genuinely interesting design for a stage. And then the bears crash in, forcing their way to the prize money where it's revealed how little there is. And right on cue of everyone approaching Buster, the stage cracks in half and the whole theater floods. Guess those squids are dead. Mina clogs the exit, everyone almost dies, Buster uses the top path again, and Johnny breaks the clog, not unlike that one scene in Kingsman. I guess Taron Egerton just can't avoid this story beat. And just like that, Mike is flushed down the sewers, Nana leaves unimpressed, and the entire theater collapses. This is an extreme twist to add some action. And only Buster's dad's old bucket survives. And it's all played with sad singing music. I was confused for a while at who's singing, because this is completely non-diegetic, but it's actually Nana from the prologue. The bears can't find Mike, the pigs are caught in the machine, Mina is mourning, Johnny isn't visited by his dad, Lance is with Becky at the bar, and the bank seizes the property. It's the end of Act 2, everybody. Sadness all around. Buster has given up squatting at Eddie's place. Everyone comes to lift him up, but it doesn't work. Mina delivers some cake, it's probably her grandpa's leftovers or something, and Buster shoots her down for her optimism on being a singer. And he decides to follow in his dad's footsteps and work for a hard, low-income life instead. Though he sucks. Rock bottom. And with that, there's only one way to go, as Eddie joins in the car washing business. At least they're using their fur for work. And after almost a hard day's work, Buster finally hears Mina sing upon the ruins of the theater. Sure is lucky he didn't move too far away, huh? Inspired anew, everyone is told of the revival, and they work together to recreate the theater DIY style themselves. Wasn't this repossessed though? Isn't this like trespassing at this point after the whole bank thing? Ah well, it's all feel good. Mike is accepted back, but rejects without the prize money as these guys are singing for themselves this time. And with that, the show is readying to start. The audience is minute, only really being the family of the contestants. All those pig kids will surely just shout over the whole show, I bet. I've experienced it. Ugh. It's time to begin. Again, this is their excuse for a joke? Maybe for a pantomime for 5-year-olds, but come on. No wonder they barely try. So first it's Rosita and Gunter, now with a laundry-themed set, and generic Taylor Swift, which then moves to a remixed version of the same song, with a new costume. Alright, and here's Mike wanting to join in now after being ridiculed by viewers watching on TV and the streets. Does that happen? These days, what time period is this? And with a success, crowds begin to join. You see how this goes. Next up, Johnny singing I'm Still Standing at the piano. It's good, but it would be, because it's I'm Still Standing. And to hit that easy feel-good vibe, his dad sees it in prison and suddenly 180s to loving it. Again, would have at least been faintly better if that wasn't spoiled in the trailer. Still, what is new is him using the opportunity to escape prison and leap across town over the rooftops. That's inciting. And a hint of beatsy creativity too. Oh, everyone loves Johnny, though he's obviously still down about it all.
You are all trespassing on private property, and you will leave right now.
And, I mean, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But I do like how it times perfectly with the rebellious rock act of Ash. That's well structured, and probably not in Illumination's telling story for dummies formula by default. Took a little bit of effort.
I am calling the police.
She never does. Though I also like during Ash's act this frenetic camera angle. It's just on theme, but it's nice to see. Still don't understand the random pines though. Mike's time, and since his performance has always gone well, this time it's time to not. The bears spot him on TV and his love interest joins the chase. Also, Johnny's dad sneaks backstage for a hug with his son. It's an easy plot point. And it's got all the happy father line, but you get it. The helicopters chasing him also influence the stage, pushing Mike away from the mic and then eventually swinging him around. It's fun. Johnny's dad disappears off again, the bears arrive, and finally it's Mina time. Again, without any practice before really, but alright. And eventually, after a little bit of more shy bait, she sings. Surprise! It's good. Yeah. I do like though that even Mike is stunned by it, the one guy who's been shooting down everybody else at every opportunity. Not sure on the logic of singing projecting when your mouth is behind a massive trunk, but we'll accept it. Mike is nabbed away by the bears in secret and teleported to the street. He escapes with his girl, except he doesn't. We get some callbacks with the old auditioning still in the same outfits, and it's a happy ending for all. Even Nana is impressed in the audience. And with that, the show is over. The place is bought by Nana, time-lapse to a rebuilt theatre. We hear that song from Nana in the prologue again singing over it all, and it's reopened with a whole new photo frame. I guess all the story beats for each character was finished in the show itself, because we don't actually see any post-show scene. That's a shame. I kind of wanted to see, a bit more dialogue. It's a bit abrupt. Everyone succeeds, happiness all around, and Mike... Oh god. That was the last we saw of Mike. He's literally dead. That's easy to go over your head. Yikes. Though he's casted in Sing 2, so I guess that's retcon number 1. But in theory, he's super dead. Where can they expand in this direction? I'm not too sure. I got lost into a fake wiki of a fan idea for a sequel that was all about seeing the big city, but that would make sense for the characters' careers. But how does that come back to Moon and the theatre? I don't know. Also, in that fake wiki, everyone and their mother was secretly wanting to be a singer, including Judith the bank owner and the female mouse. You saw the entire family of Lance and Becky and Ash. Oh, I was very confused for a while. As for the other expansion options, all there really is that I can think of is do more stuff with the animal element. I mean, is it just going to be a second show? Are they going to relocate somewhere else? It's kind of concerning, but at the same time, they'll probably just take the easiest, most generic sequel route. That's what you can expect as an expansion. This is one of those films that's kind of hard to judge without showing bias, you know? This film is so generically made that it's a classic. The story overall is pretty good. It's standard. I always find myself enjoying musicals way more when I'm watching them, and then when I'm not, I forget how much I like them in the moment. If this was a stage play, I'd probably really love it. It's easy, but it's feel good. And it's fun to watch archetypes sometimes. That being said, it's lazy too. The animation is good. It's got a good budget. I love the lighting. Yeah. But the actual creativity in the writing and the direction is just not there most of the time. We've got a Zootropolis-like society, but it's pointless. They never really do anything with it. It's just visual bait to get the kids into it. And any attempt at